Hey, welcome to FreightWaves NOW Wednesday style. Happy hump day, in-between day, tip of the cyclical cycle day, where all is happening here. We've got market expert on Mike Intermodal O'Brien bringing us what is happening in between the rail, what's happening at ports, what's happening with capacity and activity, and back in the kitchen, Chief Meteorologist Nick Austin, and he's going to give us a little bit of a look at road conditions. It's going to be very exciting. In fact, let's turn to him right now and let's get things started. Nick, hi, welcome back.
Hey, thanks, Chad.
It wasn't the same without you yesterday, but the junior meteorologist filled in as good as he could.
I'm sure Zach did a fabulous job. I'm sure he did.
Big shoes to fill.
I assume you're talking about Zach.
Yes.
Okay. Anyway, so we still have some snow to talk about across the country today.
Snow kidding.
It's mostly out west, no kidding, and it's mostly in the Rocky Mountains. Not unusual to get snow out there this time of the year, believe it or not, but causing some travel problems out through parts of Colorado, along some parts of I-70, but it's been coming down pretty heavy for a while. It's going to be kind of fading out later in the day, but it is still coming down Colorado, parts of Wyoming, even in Nebraska and South Dakota. And so that's going to affect travel on some of those interstates, I-80 as well. So a few major routes up in that area. And we had a lot of tornado reports yesterday out of the plains, from Texas, Oklahoma, up into Missouri and parts of Arkansas. Just dozens of tornadoes reported. Luckily, no fatalities, just a few injuries. Hopefully people didn't get hurt too badly, but there were actual tornadoes that were reported probably numbered around 30 or so.
That seems like a lot.
It's a pretty good amount. For an area for maybe in an area around this circle here that I'm making. It's about 30 reported, but actual tornado warnings that came out from the Weather Service across that region numbered in the hundreds.
Wow.
Probably about 100 to 200 warnings. Luckily, only about 30 of them were actual tornadoes that were on the ground. Because a lot of times at the Weather Service, those folks are working in their forecast offices watching the radar. And if it looks like on radar that there's a tornado, they will issue a warning before they possibly get confirmation from somebody out in the field that there's actually one on the ground. Sometimes the radar will tell you. But it's not, sometimes you need that ground truth. And they got actual reports of about 30 tornadoes. The reason I mention all that is because some of those same areas are under the threat again for more severe storms today and possible tornadoes.
Okay.
That includes possibly near the Dallas area, Oklahoma City, up into Fort Smith, Arkansas, Missouri, and some parts of Kansas as well. And that's where the best chances are that they could get tornadoes again.
What do you predict here with this green blob, as I like to call it? Is it lingering still here in the middle? Is it going to continue, or is it going to dissipate as it comes across this part of the southeast, as our junior meteorologist was predicting?
Right, it will get a lot weaker before it gets across the southeast, particularly into Tennessee and Mississippi and a lot of the Gulf Coast states.
Good, that's what I like to hear.
So that's good. The chances for severe weather will be a lot less later in the week once that system finally does push a bit eastward.
Okay.
One of the reasons it's kind of been so strong is it's been nearly kind of sitting over the same areas for the last few days and just gathering a lot of energy and a lot of moisture out the Gulf. So once it finally starts to move, it will actually weaken a little bit. So that's the good news.
That is good news, and we're going to pull up some road conditions.
That's right. We want to look as well as a couple of road cameras, the DOT road cameras from out west where some of the snow has been falling. The roads are going to be kind of slushy or snowy, just depending on your exact elevation and where you're going. But particularly across Colorado, southern Colorado, if we could kind of widen the view a little bit more, I want to get Wyoming in there too, and some of the areas north of Colorado. So if we look at this camera right here, this is in southwestern Colorado right here, going through Wolf Creek Pass, which I think is US 160 is that road. Look at it. There's snow, there's wind, there's some whiteout conditions here. This is happening today in the 1st of May.
Happy May
so,
the 1st.
I know. So drivers will probably run into some delays out in the Rockies in those snowy areas, and occasional delays if they run into these storms and severe storms across the plains. So that's where we really have to be careful today.
Okay,
All right.
thanks for that
You bet.
overview and the mystery train of what is going to be happening right now with Mike Intermodal O'Brien. All right, well, what do you got for us, Mike?
We're going to start today by looking at the overall U.S. rail traffic, kind of year to date. This is information put out by the AAR, the Association of American Railroads. They're the gatekeeper of the data. It's updated weekly. It's kind of on a delay. We should get another update today that should be through the 27th. But as you see over here year to date, rail volumes have been fairly unimpressive, to speak. And what I really focus on are the intermodal units here that are down a total of 1%.
What's going on? What's our thesis for why rail remains so far down 4 months into the year?
My thesis is truck capacity is super loose. There's just way more capacity out in the market year over year.
Okay.
So if I'm running intermodal for any company the way like I used to do, unfortunately I didn't have sonar. So on a month in, if I'm looking to pick up incremental capacity, I'm going to start with a sonar chart.
Before we even go and look at the head haul index, why is oil, would you say, doing so well though?
Oil, the United States is now, we're self-sufficient in oil, so we export more than we used to. So it's kind of the leading, it's kind of the bright light in the rail industry at this point, year to date anyway.
Okay, cool. And you want us to check out this head haul index?
Let's look at the head haul index here. If my volume's down and I'm looking to pick up incremental loads on a month in, I'm going to pull up the head haul, and then I'm going to look for major ramps. And the ones that jump out at me are Chicago, Savannah, and of course LA over there. So if I'm looking to pick up freight, I want to look in markets where there's a major railhead and there's more freight than capacity. So if we go to Chicago, you'll see that we've got the outbound tender reject in the blue with the outbound tender volume laid on top of it. So on a month in, the rejects are going up and the volume's going way up. So you have an opportunity here to pick up some incremental loads if you're looking for incremental intermodal loads, because the trucks are rejecting more, the volume's going up. It's a huge market for intermodal.
Okay, so by looking at the trucking segment in Chicago, that gives us insight into the what's happening with rail.
They move together. They really, the ebbs and flows, they move together. And when the trucks start rejecting more and the volume's going up, it has to go somewhere. Grab it for intermodal.
Okay.
And similar to Chicago, we're going to look at Savannah, another big intermodal ramp, head haul for intermodal. And you see similar things. The rejects were going up, they're kind of leveling off, but the volume's still spiking at the same time. Yeah. So that's good news. If you're an intermodal guy, you're like, I can pick up some freight out of that market. And also, I mean, we got LA, which has been the market. This surprised me because it was glowing the brightest blue of them all. But you can see the volume, it went up and kind of started coming back down, but the tender rejects are still way down. Even though it was glowing the brightest blue on the map, I don't think you could pick up any incremental intermodal freight.
What do you feel like is the explanation there? It's showing up on our head haul index as a head haul market, but you're saying that looking at closer, it might not be?
It may not be long haul freight, is what it looks
Okay.
like. It may be that 200, 300, 400 mile freight that's not showing up, for the rail guys.
So what we're looking at is a situation where rail, which parallels trucking in so many ways, trucking's got really loose capacity, and rail is suffering as a result.
That's what it seems like to date at this point. There's a lot of capacity out there.
Okay, that seems to be the story. Thank you so much, Mike O'Brien. That is our story, and we are sticking to it in rail. That is what is happening right now. It seems to be the story of 2019. A lot of loose capacity, and we are tight on capacity here as we are rolling into Transparency 19. So we would love to see you there in just a few short days if you haven't signed up. It's May 6th through 8th in Atlanta, starting on Monday at the Georgia International Convention Center. We'd love to see you there, and we will be doing sonar trainings if you would like to get a demo. If any time, just check us out on FreightWaves.com. You know where to find us by now, right? And also, we're sharing the love. Be a part of the team, and we're partnering with all kinds of data sources to help give you the insights that you need each and every day. In the meantime, don't worry, be happy.